Jacob, on this day on 2000 in 2001, 101-year-old Harold Stilson becomes the oldest golfer to record a hole-in-one when he aces a 108-yard par 3 on the 16th hole at Deerfield CC in Florida. Jacob, I mean, I I feel like this guy has a better chance of hitting a hole in one than you and I ever have in our whole life. I if I get hit a hole in one ever in my life, I swear I will just I probably won't golf again. And this man at 101 years old hit. How does that make you feel, Jake? That a 101-year-old has hit a hole in one and you haven't yet.
The first question I want to ask is, did he use his driver so he could get it there?
So I do not see that. Okay, and I should say oldest at the time because I looked it up after that. There's a 103-year-old dude who hit a hole in one in like 2014 at like a 116-yard par 3 and uses driver. So I'm assuming this man uses driver, I don't imagine. Probably just like rolled it up on the green and slid in.
I mean, it doesn't feel good, but I'm assuming that this person is a much better golfer than I will ever be until I start golfing more than 3 times a year.
Jacob, yeah, I gotta ask a question too. Do you think you hit a hole in one before you die? If you die at 70, you die at 40, you die at 101 years old. Are you hitting a hole in one by the time you die?
If I was a betting man, I would put everything I own on the answer being no, but I'm going to dream, and I think I can manifest it, so I'm going to say yes, I'm going to get a hole in one.
Yeah, see, I have zero confidence in that. I'm just so bad at par threes, but I mean, I guess you get lucky. I golf a lot too, so I feel like you get lucky every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I dropped one within you remember one time at Dunseith, I dropped one like a foot and a half away from the hole once. I mean, sometimes a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah, no. Every now and then they do. I mean, Weston Martell hit one and a couple years ago, and still have yet to hit one. I feel like I've not really been close. And Grandpa Allard has hit like 3, I'm pretty sure. So. I mean, that dude golfs more than about anybody I know. So
I mean, I really do think with hole in ones, it's really all volume. It's just you just get out there, and you just play as frequently as you can, and eventually you're gonna get lucky. Because like even the pros will say there isn't a whole lot of skill that goes into it. You just hit the ball at the you just shoot the ball at the pin, and it just kind of depends on where the hole placement is that day. Like, if you're good enough to put the ball on the green consistently, like, that's about as good as you can do.
I hope right now in my life, I really, sports-wise, athletic-wise, I feel there's nothing going for me. But the one thing I want to do before I die athletically is get a hole-in-one, if you consider that even being athletic. But that's, like, the last accomplishment I want. Like, right now in my life, my last accomplishment I want when it comes to sports is a hole-in-one. I don't care about anything else. It's the only thing I want to do.
I still would like to dunk a basketball. I think that would be on the top of my list.
Dunk a ball? Yeah, I think you should maybe hit the gym a little more.
I would say I think that ship has sailed. But after my race this weekend, I think maybe I'll start training plyometrics and see if I can't, because I still have like 4-ish years of like athletic prime. So I mean, like, if I train for it, maybe I could dunk. Maybe I could dunk yet.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see that day. Actually, Weston Martell and I, when he came to Drayton with me the other couple weeks ago or so, we went to the gym. I couldn't dunk a boys' ball, but I had like a small ball. It was like a miniature basketball I used like with my kindergarten classes and gym class. I could dunk that every single time I went up. I just can't like palm a ball like a boys' ball like when I come up, it just slips out of my hand and like I can't really do it. So like a small ball, I can dunk it easily every single time still.
See, that's my problem is like I'd have to 2-hand yam it, and you need like another 4 inches to get both your hands over the rim.
Yeah, so I mean I was getting close to jumping off 2 feet to getting it, but I don't know. Anyways,
back to real sports.
Hope to hit a hole in one at some point in my life, and congrats to this man who's 101 years old hitting a hole in one. I feel like that's Grandpa Allard's ultimate goal is that the year he dies or something at age 100 or 90 or 80, whatever he wants to hit a hole in one. I feel like that'd be the best way for Grandpa Allard to go. Sorry, Grandpa, if you're listening to this. But anyways, welcome, boys and girls, to the Lone Brother Podcast, where we'll move on for this. In spirit of, the PGA Championship happened, I figured I would talk about that. But Today we're talking about some NBA. We had the NBA draft lottery yesterday. We clearly have the conference finals now. A little bit of just MLB talk that Jacob wanted to talk about. And clearly, like I said, golf. We have the PGA Championship happening this weekend. But to start off our podcast, we're going to jump right into talking about the NBA, which I think to start I don't know, Jay, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about the lottery or you want to talk about the conference finals first?
You know what? Let's hit the lottery because this was for the third straight year. I get to watch intently as the hoping that the Spurs jump up, and they have yet to jump up. Eventually, it's going to happen. But yeah, I say we start with the lottery, and I think the first four picks are probably gonna be the aim.
Yeah. So as Jacob said, okay, we'll start with the lottery. Yesterday the NBA lottery happened where all these people were basically, if you don't know, it's basically a draw. The teams get picked. There are certain odds of what teams can, the three worst teams in the league. I don't know the percentages exactly. Have this percentage get number one. I think the worst team in the league, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, is for sure guaranteed a top 3 pick. Correct? I'm pretty sure the worst.
It's actually top 5 now.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I thought last year it was top 3.
It used to be top 3, but that was when they are 4. But so now they draw 4 teams, right? So the way the lottery works is the first 4 picks are determined by lottery, and then everything after that is just straight by record, right? So essentially, if you're the worst team, you could still get the 5th pick if you don't get drawn in the first 4. But that's highly unlikely. I think you have a 95% chance getting drawn in the first 4. It's supremely unlikely. Because like I said, the top 3 teams each have a 14% chance to get first, and I think the number 4 team is a 12.5%. It's still pretty close.
Yeah, no. Yeah, okay. I thought it was top 3, but I believe you.
You're still extremely likely to end up in the top 3, but you're guaranteed to be 5th at worst.
Yeah, so basically how this ended up, I will just go through the top 10. I'm not going to go through all of them. Magic got 1, Thunder 2, Rockets 3. My thing is loading here.
Kings 4.
Actually, Kings 4, Pistons 5, Pacers 6, Blazers 7, Pelicans 8, Spurs 9, 10, Wizards. Okay, Jacob, so riddle me this. So I saw a thing last night when the Blazers got the 7th pick. Tobias Harris looked over across and smiled at Damian Lillard because he knew he was getting a top 4 pick. Why was that? Because I saw something on Twitter that was the face that Tobias made when the Blazers got Domantas, whatever.
Domantas Sabonis. Yeah, he made a little smirk.
Okay, so why? How come on pick 7 he knew he was going to get at least a top 4 pick?
Because they were the 7th best team. So if they don't get pick 7, that means that they for sure got drawn in the lottery. Because if you're outside of the top 4, the only way you can move up is if you move into the top 4. So the Spurs. So when the number 9 pick went, if the Spurs didn't get 9, they're guaranteed to be top 4 because you can't move up unless you win the lottery.
Yeah. Okay.
So since the Kings were supposed to be pick 7 and they didn't hear their name called, that meant they automatically were in the top 4.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I don't really know much about it. From what I'm seeing right here, so Houston, Orlando, Detroit had a 14% chance at getting the number 1 pick. The Thunder had a 12.5, Indiana 10.5, Portland 9, Sacramento. It just keeps going down. I remember the first year they changed it to this. I remember the Pelicans got the number 1 pick and they picked Zion when they had
they had a 6% chance because this year they had the same odds.
Yeah, because I remember that, and I was just how in the hell did they get this? But
I mean, when the Clippers picked Blake Griffin, I think they were the 12th worst team. I think their odds were even lower.
Yeah. So, anyways, I mean that's how it kind of works. I mean that's who's got to pick the top 10. I'm not gonna go to the 14 and all that stuff, but looking forward to Jacob. I mean, in my opinion, we kind of talked before the show. Like you say, you want to do top 4. If you want to go give me a 5th pick, that's fine too. But in your opinion, who's going to be the top 4 or 5? You want to say 5? Because in my head, unless you're going to surprise me here, we all know the 3 people that are going to be picked in the the top three. It probably depends on what order you put them in. And I'm going to say, who do you think is going to be picked 1, 2, 3, and 4? Not who you think should be picked 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, like who do you think when draft day comes? Who's the Magic going to pick? The Thunder, the Rockets, and then the gosh darn it, just the Kings. I'll give you my opinion on because I'm assuming we're going to argue on something here, but like 1 through 4, if you want to even give me 5, give me 5. Because like I said, I think top 3 is for sure locked as you know what 3 people is going to be. It just depends on what order you think it's going to be picked.
Yeah, I would say the top 3 is like a 90% lock. I think number 1 is going to be Chet. I think 2 will be Jabari, and I think 3 is going to end up being Paolo Banchero or Banchero if I say it correctly. I said Banchero once and I can't stop saying it like that. Jaden Ivey, from what I have seen a couple places, might be able to slip into the top 3 and take a spot from probably Banchero, but maybe Jabari Smith. Chet's going top 2. If he doesn't go 1, he's going 2. And then 5 is probably going to be Shaedon Sharpe. So I would say Chet followed by Jabari Smith, followed by Banchero, followed by Jaden Ivey, and then Shaedon Sharpe. Shaedon Sharpe might go 4 and Ivey might go 5. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. And maybe at 5 Keegan Murray goes instead of like Shaedon Sharpe. But those are going to be the first probably 6 guys off the board.
Yeah, so I don't argue. In my head, clearly I think the first pick's going to be Chet. After that, in my honest opinion, I think it's going to be Jabari and then Paolo Banchero, and then I think it's going to be Jaden Ivey, and then honestly, I think Keegan Murray. I think that's going to be the top 5 picks. And people will probably hate me for saying this. I mean, if Uncle Mitch this up, I can get a text from him. But like, I'm not like Chet Holmgren is a good player, and I mean I've seen what the NBA have done with other people and buffed him up, made him a lot more talented. Like he can shoot, he can do like so. I'm looking at stats right now. He averaged 14 points a game, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 40% on 3-point percentage.
And 4 blocks a game. Don't forget that's the most important stat of all of them.
Well, 4 blocks a game, but I think his blocks per game is going to go down once he gets to the NBA, in my opinion.
He's still by far the best rim protector in the class, though.
Well, yeah, for sure, but I don't foresee there's always an all-star in every single NBA draft, you know, maybe even a future Hall of Famer. In my opinion, I do not see Chet Holmgren being like in his first 3 years, like I'm sure he'd be a decent player, but I feel there's going to be people in his class that if I had to bet, I do not think Chet Holmgren will be in a Rookie of the Year conversation. I feel like if he gets All-Star, I feel like it might be once in his career. Last time I thought I was this confident, I said it about Ja Morant, and I was completely wrong. Way wrong about him. I'm gonna go out and about and say I'm not a fan of Chet Holmgren. I think he'll be a good role player for teams. I don't think he's gonna be an All-Star or even, you know, all first team and all NBA. I feel like might have a couple. I shouldn't say one. I feel like maybe have a couple All-Star years, but besides that, I'm gonna say I don't think he's gonna be that guy. I think he'll be a good role player for some teams, but besides that, I mean, I know Bol when he came out, like I mean, he was a tall dude who can shoot the ball too. I mean, look where that dude's at. I know he's not as hyped up as Chet Holmgren. That's probably a terrible comparison. I'm not.
It is a terrible comparison.
It is a terrible comparison, but like everyone's hyping up Bol too when he came in, tall dude that can shoot, you know, thin as hell and stuff like that. But like, it's a terrible comparison. I know it is, but I have no faith in that Chet Holmgren's going to be this amazing all-star dude. Jacob, you might disagree with me. You probably do disagree with me. I feel like I'm about the only one that thinks that, but I'm throwing it out there. I don't think, like I said, good role player. Maybe all-star a couple times in his career.
The biggest problem that people have with Chet is his frame, and that doesn't really concern me even a little bit. So I mean, like outside of his frame, I mean, I haven't really seen any like legitimate critiques of his game outside of he's skinny. So I mean, if that's the only problem that someone can come up with a guy, then like I mean, I think you got a great player on your hands. So
No, and like I said, I said I know the NBA will buff him up. I said that. Like the NBA, once he's there, goes through a team, he's gonna get bigger and he's gonna get stronger. Maybe I said that. I don't know. Did I say that because of his frame he's gonna be bad? I don't think I said that. Did I?
No, you didn't. But I said, I mean, everyone pretty much outside. Like I said, I mean, every critique I see about him on Twitter, on Reddit, even on like on TV is he's skinny. It's like he's big. He is pretty quick for being 7 feet tall. He's not as athletic as like say Kevin Durant, who has a similar frame. But like I said, I'm about him. He's an elite shot blocker. He shoots the ball well. He handles the ball well. I mean, he's not really a playmaker, but I mean, he can dribble the ball up the floor, and he can rim run. He'd be a nice little pick and popper. I don't know if he can defend some of the some of the more athletic fours in the league, but I mean, I think he can get there. I think he's quick enough as long as he doesn't get too heavy to be able to guard some of the bigger guys who are a little quicker.
Yeah, all I'm saying, like I said, I'm not saying anything about his frame. I'm not saying that his frame is, like I said, the NBA is going to buff him up. He's not going to be as skinny and stuff as he is now because we've seen Giannis, we've seen like there's plenty of examples of NBA who come in the league and they're just tiny, and then 3 years down the line they're bigger. I don't think Chet Gold with his frame, is he going to be Giannis in? I don't think he'll ever look like Giannis.
No, and I don't think he needs to be. Like I said, look at guys like I said. Look at guys like like Kevin Durant. Like I said, he's not as athletic as Kevin Durant, but you can succeed and be and be the Slim Reaper. And Dirk wasn't a skinny guy, but like I said, Chet doesn't need to put on a ton of weight. He just needs to put on enough to be able to, not let, Giannis back him down every single time.
Well, and
he plays really physical. That's another thing you got. Like when they played Memphis, he was really, really physical with Durant. He plays bigger than he is.
Well, the thing is about me is that when I have watched Gonzaga play with Chet, it seems like and maybe it's probably because maybe he is a little slimmer or whatnot, but it seemed like because I can't remember what game who did they lose to in the March Madness this year?
Arkansas.
And there were some questionable calls, but it just seemed like he's getting pushed around by these small dudes against Arkansas. And I'm not, like I said, I don't know what it's about Chet. Honestly, people be like, "Oh, he's a sports podcast. This guy can't give me like A, B, C, and D." I don't know. John Morant, I knew Chet Holmgren was a great player in college. There's a lot of great players in college that end up being busts and they don't play. I'm not saying he's gonna be a bust because I don't think he's gonna be a bust. I don't think he's going to be an all-star. And like I said, maybe a couple years, but I don't know.
I just think he's the highest ceiling player. Like, I think he has the potential to be better. But like I said, if you wanted like a more for sure shot, I think the two guys you'd be looking at would be like Jabari Smith and I think Jaden Ivey. I don't really believe in Paulo that much. Maybe it's just because he's a Dookie, but I'm just not that confident in his game. I know he can. He can shoot and he's fine on defense. Like I said, I'm just not that confident in him. Like I said, if I had to pick two guys who are the closest to as sure thing as you can get, which is impossible, I go with Jabari Smith and Jaden Ivey. But I think Chet. Chet can whiff. Like I said, we've seen guys who are better than him who have been whiffs. But I do think he has potential. To be like a generational kind of player.
Like I said, I have not. I'm just not. I think there's gonna be better people in this draft. I think there's gonna be. I feel like every draft has a dude that comes out, and honestly, I'm sure there's not a draft. I feel like. I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe there might be one draft where there's not a Hall. I feel like every single draft has at least like one Hall of Fame player come out of. Usually, I'm sure there may be a couple that there's not a Hall of Fame guy in there, but I just don't think it's him. Honestly, I'd rather put my money on just Jabari Smith or Paulo Panchero or any of those other dudes. Honestly, Paulo, I wasn't too impressed with him this season. I honestly, the games that I watched Duke play, granted they were against UNC and other teams. It's like, I don't know, but I think we can move on from this, Jacob. We don't need to keep talking about the same topic for a while. So what we have going on, we talked about last week. We're waiting for the conference finals to come out, and the conference finals are here. Yesterday we had a game. Tonight we have a game with Warriors versus the Mavericks. Okay, Jacob. So we have Celtics versus Heat and Mavs versus the Warriors. I'm going to ask you who you have, who you think is going to win. I'm just going to state the fact right now is that Celtics in 6. I'm just going to state that right now. I said Celtics in 7. I never lost confidence in my boys. But the fact apart is that Celtics lost game 1. The first half, they were looking good. Jason Tatum fell off the earth the second half, like scored 6 points or whatever it was. I mean, he had 21 at the half. Kind of fell. But we have Marcus Smart out the first game and Al Horford. I feel like if we get our couple boys back, I don't know if they'll be back game 2. But I feel like once they're back, the Celtics get back on a roll, and I think the Celtics take that series. But we can talk about that later, Jacob. Who do you got in these 2 conference finals games? Or even if you want to talk about the Suns falling off the earth and losing to the Mavs, I feel like that's like the only major topic we could talk about the last round.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns just choked it. I mean, they got up 2-0, and everyone was healthy. I think after those first 2 games, Chris Paul averaged like 9 points a game and like 4 turnovers, which is not like Chris Paul. He doesn't turn it over like that. And it's not even the scoring. I mean, like they shouldn't have to rely on a 37-year-old point guard who was never a single time in his career the primary scorer on his basketball team. So I mean, I'm not gonna fault him for not scoring, but I mean, DeAndre Ayton has to get you more than like I think he had 5 points and 4 rebounds. Yep, 5 points, 4 rebounds. No, that's unacceptable. I mean, and Booker wasn't good. They had 3 guys score 10 points. Like Cam Johnson led them in scoring with 12, and Booker had 11. In 36 minutes. Like that just can't happen. I mean, there's not much else to say. I mean, other than they just choked it away. I'm taking Heat in 5. I just think they've been there. I think we're going to get a rehash of what happened in 2020 during the bubble year.
Been there. You remember they did play the Celtics the same. So the Celtics have been there against the same team.
That's what I'm saying. They've been there. They've done that versus the Celtics. I just kind of think they're better. I wasn't that impressed with the way. I mean, listen, I was impressed by the Celtics. Beating Milwaukee, but I mean, it took them 7 to beat them, and they didn't have Middleton. And not to say that doesn't mean that they can't play well. They definitely can. I mean, they were pretty in control in the first half yesterday, but I'm just gonna take the Heat in 5 just because I really like the Heat, and I think Jimmy Butler is clutch as always. You can always count on Bam to show up. They got Kyle Lowry now. They got guys who can play. And I think that's all there really is to that one. And I'm gonna take a flyer here. I'm gonna take the Mavs in 7, and it's just because Luka. I mean, I watched what he did to the Suns, and especially if they can get 30 points from Spencer Dinwiddie and Brunson keeps averaging 20 plus, like they'll be fine. I mean, Luka's gonna get you 30 in the playoffs. So I mean, I'm gonna take a flyer, and I think the Mavericks are gonna take him to 7, and I think they'll get Game 7 because I kind of think this is Luka's time to shine. It kind of feels very similar to like the Joe Burrow. It just kind of feels like destiny.
Yeah, no. I just say we're complete opposite. I'm a Celtics guy. Like I said, if we get, I don't know because Al Horford was in safety protocol, COVID stuff, so I don't know what the situation is there. I haven't looked it up. Marcus Smart was out with his sore knee or something like that. I think they get those 2 boys, but if they get them back for game 2, I'm going to say Celtics in 6. Celtics in 6. I think the Celtics are going to win this series if they get their 2, because those are 2 big players to lose in that series, is Al Horford and also Marcus Smart. Those are 2 big guys to lose, and if they're out for game 2 and game 3, I would probably take the Heat. I think if they come back game 3, I think the Celtics come back, they win in 7. That's what I'm saying, because I mean, Al Horford, Smart, those are 2 big losses for the Celtics to not have to play a game. And the Celtics, they played very well the first half last night. Second half, they just fell apart. And I think when you don't have all the complete options, you can't rely on Tatum all game. I think teams are going to figure out, who's scoring the ball, and clearly it's going to be Tatum for the Celtics. Warriors, Mavs, I don't know. I'm curious how this. I think it's clearly Mavs or Warriors. I was about to say clearly it's going to be one of the 2 that wins, which is be stupid to say, but it's either going to be if Steph and Clay are on and they are playing well, the Warriors win the series. 100%. I don't even care how Luka plays. If Steph and Clay are on, which I feel like they've kind of been hit or miss. The games they win, they're on. I mean, they won, was it game 6, and they both, like, combined had 15 threes or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous. If Steph and Clay are on and they're playing well throughout the series, the Warriors will win, and they'll win in 5. They'll win in 6. I don't know what it is, but if they're off, I think that's where Luka's going to be Luka. And if you get Brunson and all these other players for the Mavs to keep coming up, the Mavs will win. I think it'll be a good series. I think it'll come down to 6 or 7 games no matter what. But I think if Steph and Clay are just completely on, I'm going to take the Warriors. I think it just depends how Steph and Clay play, in my opinion.
I don't think you're wrong there. I'm basically just I'm basically just riding on the assumption that Luka is going to continue being playoff Luka and that he's just going to take his team to the promised land, kind of like the 2011 Mavs, where it was like old Dirk and Jason Terry and JJ Barea. like,
Yeah, no. Well, sorry, I know I rambled there for a while.
And then he beat LeBron. So I'm kind of betting on the same thing with Luka this year.
And the thing is, the 4 teams that are left, I like all 4 of them. Clearly, I want the Celtics win because they're my team. If the Celtics lose, they lost the Heat. I like the Heat. So, honestly, if it's Heat Mavs, Heat Warriors, Celtics Mavs, Celtics Warriors, I'm going to be happy because I like all the teams. So, at this point, whoever wins a championship, I won't be upset. Clearly, I want the Celtics too, but, Celtics,
I mean, all these teams have won a title in the last 10 years, if you think about it.
Yeah. So, I'm satisfied with it. I think we'll have a good conference. We've had a great playoff so far. I think we'll have a great. I'm just glad the Sixers and the Bucks lost. Dude, if it had been Sixers and Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'd be pissed because I just do dislike those teams. Not a fan, but I got 4 teams that I like. And oh man, and did the Mavs kill the Suns? I know you talked about it. The Mavs killed the Suns in Game 7. Like Luka just was. He didn't even play the 4th quarter. Like he had almost at 30 points at the end of the first half, and he had the same amount of points as the Suns did at the end of the first half. It was 20. He had 27 points. The Suns had 27 points in the first half. Like that dude is unreal. Like you cannot tell me that dude's not a top 3 player in the world right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's him, Giannis, and then probably right now Jokic. Those three are the top of the NBA. Then Embiid, and then probably LeBron at 5.
Yeah, no. So I mean, that's just
not having KD top 5 sounds dumb, but I just don't really think he is right now.
And we talked about it yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, where we just said like, oh yeah, Luka, he is. Once he wins, like he's young. Once he wins championships, we can consider Luka as a lot better player. I mean, he made the conference championship. He beat the number 1 seed Suns, who ruined my bet, by the way. The first team on my freaking parlay thing ruins it. Had the Suns win the Western Conference Finals. But so that ticket's thrown away now. But no, it's just cool to see that. I'm honestly right now, besides the Celtics, I'm rooting for the Mavs. If the Celtics lose this series, I'm rooting for the Mavs completely. I love Luka so much. I love the Mavs. So love Mark Cuban. That dude's a G. Best owner of all sports history. So,
well,
but
I think we can move on from that.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of NBA. I think we rambled on longer than we thought. But Jacob, I'll let you take this MLB one over with Albert Pujols because honestly, I don't really care that much about it. So you can tell us about what happened with Albert Pujols pitching, and then probably be a little short snippet because whatever, Jacob, take it over.
Yeah, I want to make an effort to cover some baseball like on a weekly basis just because baseball is awesome, but for the most part, people find baseball boring. But what's fun is when an all-time legend takes the mound and finishes the game. They were winning. He closed that game out on Sunday. Albert Pujols, who I think is like 42 years old, took the mound for the first time in his career. And in his post-game interview, he said, "Coach asked for volunteers, and I said I'd do it." Like, I think that's great. I think his fastball averaged about 50 miles an hour, which is probably still harder than I threw in high school. And I just wanted to bring it up because I love stupid stuff like that happening. Like I loved like last week when Rendon hit a bomb lefty off of a position player pitching. I love when fun stuff like this happens in the MLB because, like I said, I mean the big thing with baseball right now is they're trying to make baseball fun, right? They're trying to make it fun, and stuff like this is fun. Having guys like Albert Pujols take the mound is fun. Evan Longoria asking for the ball after he gets a hit on Albert Pujols is fun. Like, stuff like this is fun. And the fact, listen, the Giants could have been super sore, and they could have been like, oh, geez, we're down 15-2, and they're putting in Albert Pujols, and they could have started beating, and they could have beaned guys in the next game. You could have been sore about it, or they could embrace it and they had fun. Evan Longoria had fun. The Giants were laughing. I think it was great. We need more of this in baseball. We need more of this camaraderie. We need more of this people just having fun. Pimp a home run, flip your bat, just have a good old time. And I think this is great for baseball to see stuff like this happen, because I think it gets, like I said, no one would have known that the Cardinals beat the Giants by 10 runs on Sunday unless you throw Pujols on the mound. I think it's good for the game of baseball for stuff like that to happen. And I think we're just going to end it right there. Just a 2-minute rant on how we can make baseball fun again by letting Albert Pujols pitch at the end of his career.
All I'm saying is that we see a position player pitch every single week. Yes, the fact is that Albert Pujols, everyone knew probably more about it, but I swear we see a position player pitch every single week, and my opinion is just like another position player pitch. Yeah, they're up by a lot. I feel like the only time you see a position player pitching is when your team is up by 12 runs or you're down by 12 runs. It's the only time you ever see it. So
it's a great way to save arms too. I think teams should do it more. Like I said, and I think teams are doing it more, just because it's like there's no point in putting a real pitcher out there when you're losing by 15. Like,
I'm not complaining about the fact about putting a position player out there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact. I'm not saying why are we throwing position player out there. I'm just saying we see it each week, and it is smart to throw a guy out there when you're down 15 or you're down 12. I mean, what's the point? If you're going to lose the game, what's the point of throwing more arms? All I'm saying is that every single week, I swear I see a position pitcher out there and some dude cranking. We talked about last week. Yeah, Albert Pujols. The only cool thing I think about this story is that Evan Longoria asked for the ball. That'd be the only thing. He's like, I just hit a ball off of Albert Pujols, who's a legend. I know in your head it's like Albert Pujols, a legend, finished the game off. In your opinion, yes, that it is cooler than the rest. But
he closed it out. Like, he got the win.
Yeah, and in my head, I'm just like, it's just another position player in my head pitching in a game. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I really don't care about anything.
I love when position players get out there. That, and I love the emergency goalie. I love when the emergency goalie comes out.
Like I said, I don't care about position players coming
out. Just great things for sports.
Position players, like I said, I don't give two craps about them coming out. We see it like once a week. I really don't care that much to talk about it, in my opinion. But I think the last thing we'll move on today is we talk about golf. We talked about a little bit earlier today, kind of brought up my topic to start the podcast about the 101-year-old hitting hole-in-one. We have the PGA Championship this weekend in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we have a lot of good groups put together. The favorites for this, we have Scotty Scheffler is the favorite. Rory McIlroy after that, Jordan Spieth, then John Ram, then Victor Hovland are the favorites. Would be the top 5 favorites for this golf tournament. But besides that, I mean, we have some really good groups matched up together. We have the one that everyone, will be talking about tomorrow and just looking forward to seeing, which I am very looking forward to seeing, is Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, and Tiger Woods all golfing together. We start on the 10th hole tomorrow at 9/11 tomorrow. Besides that, we have a group of Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, Tony Finau golfing together. We have another group of Shane Lowry, Brooks Koepka, and Adam Scott. We have another group of Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, and then Patrick Cantlay. I mean, there's 4 really good groups. Clearly, we all want to see the Tiger, Spieth, and Rory group. Like, that one just sounds amazing to watch. But Jay, we have the PGA happening tomorrow. I know what I'm going to be doing in school tomorrow. Probably just have this up on my computer all day. There's a talent show the second half of my day, so I'll probably have my computer out during the talent show watching golf all day long. But I mean, Jay, what do you have to say about the PGA Championship? I talk about however you want. If you want to say your favorites, who you think's going to win, just whatever you want to say about it. I'm not going to really lead you one way or the other.
I mean, I'm not taking Scheffler because I think winning back-to-back majors is for Tiger and Tiger only. Instead, I mean, outside of that, I mean, I would probably, like, my next guesses would probably be either Rory or DJ.
How dare you say Rory's name in vain?
I like Rory. I'm a big fan of Rory. Like I said, I'm just not that big of a believer in Spieth. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just feel like he's really leveled off and hasn't played as well in the last few years as he is back in the beginning of his career. I mean, and I know Brooks. I know Koepka's been battling some injuries, so I mean, I'm always gonna throw Koepka out there just because I really like him. And there was a span there where over like 8 tournaments he had like 3 wins and like 7 top 3 finishes. So I mean he can. I mean the dude can golf. But I mean, yeah, I would say outside of Scheffler, I'd go with either Rory or DJ.
Yeah, I'm not one to be like, oh, this is my guy, or this is my guy. I feel like PGA, it's just a hit or miss, honestly. There'll be some dude who's number 80 ranked in the world that will just come out and have a day. I mean, yeah, usually you see some of the top people in the top 5, top 10, but besides that, I don't know. I'm really excited for this. Another major. I love all the majors for golf. I love watching them. My girlfriend thinks I'm absolutely stupid for liking that, but I think it's fun. I love watching golf.
I love golf. It's not boring at all.
I feel like everybody's just like, oh, golf's so boring, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I love watching it. I mean, I think it's fun. Like, oh, you just watch people's like, oh, it's like the same people. I don't know. I can't complain. People in NASCAR, I always make fun of them. It's like, how can you watch people turn left
I
every
don't
time?
get NASCAR. Formula One is fun. NASCAR blows.
And then 10 people is like, well, can you watch the guy just hit a ball every time? Like, I don't know. But I will say this, Jacob. So John Daly's playing tomorrow. His over-under for birdies hit is 0.5.
He'll get a birdie.
Basically, he hits one birdie. This dude hits the over. I'd put a golf bet for tomorrow down. But I contemplated. I was like, man, John Daly is like, yeah, you think John Daly's like, this man's going to, you just think John Daly's going to hit one.
He's going to get one birdie. There's no way John Daly doesn't get a birdie.
This dude's old, and last year he was like hurt during like some of the tournaments. Like he was like the only player on a golf cart because he couldn't walk. But he still played, but he's on a golf cart. I remember there's controversy last year about that. And
I thought that was like against the rules.
I was like, yeah, well, you got to prove for it somehow. But like 0.5, this dude needs one birdie tomorrow. I didn't put it on my slip, but I was like, this dude needs one birdie. I was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I'd like to think the great John Daly can hit one birdie, but I was like, in my head, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's a tough one. But
not tough at all.
I don't know if you have any other opinions on PGA. We'll clearly be back next week to talk about the winners and throughout what happened all weekend, this weekend.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I wasn't gone, I'd say we could hop on Friday after the second round and talk about the halfway through point, but I'm clearly gone, so won't be back till next week. But I think we'll have a lot more to talk about up to this point. I'm not going to say who I think is going to win or not, but I think it.
Like I said, golf is such a crapshoot. Like it's not like I said, like it's not like the NBA where going into the season you can pick like 3 or 4 teams and they're gonna win. But like I said, golf is like I said. I mean, like you never know because I mean, any of these guys can go out and just catch fire on a weekend and just light it up and golf like 15 under. Like stuff like that happens. And Rory McIlroy can also come out and miss the cut. Like that's the great thing about golf, right? You never know. Well, that's what makes it fun.
About it, and the one thing about when it comes to like betting and stuff like that is that like halfway through the season there's favorites, to win NBA championship, and it'd be like the Suns, it'd be like probably like plus 200, like the next team plus 350, like the favorite, which is Scotty, his plus is plus 1,100, like 1,100, like it's just
he's 11-1.
It's just crazy. I mean, but that's the thing about golf. You never know. It's just whoever's having the best 4-day stretch at the time. And yeah, clearly the top golfers usually finish in the top 10, top 25 most of the time. But, you can always have these guys that come out of nowhere and take over the tournament.
Like Phil last year.
They have a couple of good days where they hit 600 one day, 700 the next day. Then the other 2 days, you just need to go +1. even. They're the top area there, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking to watching this, the conference finals these next couple of days, and I think it'll be fun to. I think we'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about next week, because clearly by the time we talk next week, probably like Wednesday or something, conference finals could be over if a team goes 4-0, and could be halfway through a series at that point. So I think we'll have a lot to talk about next week.
I agree.
But I think that kind of closes our episode here for today, guys. Thank you guys for listening, and talk to you guys next week.